Chosen one. If you're watching this right now while the house is quiet, the TV's off, and everyone else is asleep, this is not chance. This is not the algorithm. This is an appointment. Listen to me closely. You didn't search for this video. It searched for you. And if you feel something stirring in your chest right now, something you can't name that's not anxiety, that's recognition. Heaven just knocked on your door. Here's what they won't tell you. Only 1% of people will see this message at the exact right time. Most will scroll past. Some will click away in 30 seconds. But you're still here. And that means something already shifted before you even pressed play. You've been feeling it, haven't you? Your body's been heavier. Your sleep's been off. You've been pulling away from people you used to call every week. And late at night, when the clock ticks past midnight and the streetlights glow through your window, you've been asking the same quiet question. God, did you forget about me? No, he didn't. He's been preparing something in the background for decades. And tonight, right now, is one of the first signals that it's about to break open. What you thought was the end, it was only the setup. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to tell you why your body feels like this, why your routine has been disrupted, why certain people have suddenly disappeared from your life. It's not what you think, it's not age, it's not loneliness, it's repositioning. You are not watching this video. This video was sent to find you. If something in you already knows this is for you, if your spirit is stirring right now, type in the comments, "It's me. I'm still here." That's your first act of agreement with heaven. Don't click away. The people who stay until the end are the ones who are going to understand why their entire life suddenly makes sense. Let's begin. Now let me tell you something nobody else will say out loud. You've been feeling it for months now, maybe longer. Your body's been dragging. Your feet feel heavier when you walk from the bedroom to the kitchen. Getting out of bed in the morning takes longer than it used to, and you tell yourself it's just age, just arthritis, just the years catching up. But that's not all, is it? You've been waking up at 2, 3, 0 inches the morning, wide awake, staring at the ceiling. No noise, no pain, just awake. And you lie there in the dark, wondering why sleep doesn't come like it used to. You check the clock. You sigh, you roll over, but your mind won't stop. Then there's the sadness, the kind that comes out of nowhere. You'll be sitting in your chair, watching the news or flipping through old photos, and suddenly, without warning, your chest gets tight, your throat closes up, and you feel this wave wash over you that you can't explain. Nostalgia, they call it. Grief for something you can't name. And here's the strangest part. You've been pulling away from people. Friends you used to call every Sunday. You don't pick up the phone anymore. Family members who used to stop by. You find reasons to keep it short. It's not that you're angry. It's not that you don't care. You just can't. Something inside you has quietly withdrawn. You thought this was loneliness. You thought this was depression. You thought this was just what happens when you get to this age and the world keeps moving while you sit still. But chosen one, let me tell you what this really is. These are not symptoms of decay. These are symptoms of preparation. Listen closely. When a surgeon is about to operate on a patient, they don't ask them to run laps around the hospital. They don't hand them a to-do list. They put them under. They slow everything down. They dim the lights. They inject anesthesia into the veins and say, "Count backwards from 10, and the patient drifts off, not because they're dying, but because something is about to be done that requires them to be still. That's what's been happening to you. Heaven has been slowing you down on purpose, not to punish you, not to sideline you, but to prepare you for something so precise, so surgical, so specific to your calling that you couldn't carry it in your old condition. The heaviness you feel? That's not exhaustion. That's divine anesthesia. God has been putting you under so he can work on you without your interference. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." That word still in Hebrew is rapha. It means to let go, to release, to stop striving. It's not passive, it's intentional surrender. And for the 1%, this season of stillness has been God's operating room. Think about it. Your body slowed down right when your prayers seemed to go unanswered. Your energy dropped right when opportunities dried up. Your social life shrank right when you thought you needed people the most. And you wondered, God, why now? Why when I'm already tired? Why when I'm already running on fumes? Because he couldn't do the surgery while you were still moving. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a construction site in New York City. It's 10 at night, the streets are quiet, the lights are off. From the outside, it looks abandoned. But if you go inside the building, you'll see workers everywhere rewiring, rebuilding, laying foundation. The silence on the outside is covering the intensity on the inside. That's your life right now. On the outside, it looks like nothing's happening. It looks like you're just getting older, slower, quieter. But on the inside, heaven has been rewiring your spirit, rebuilding your faith, laying new foundation in places where old pain used to sit. And the reason you felt so heavy is because God refused to let you carry old weight into your next assignment. Job 33:15, 1:6 says, "In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people as they slumber in their beds, he may speak in their ears and terrify them with warnings." God speaks when we are still, when we are quiet, when we stop running and finally listen. That's why you've been waking up at 3 a.m. That's not insomnia. That's a divine download. Heaven has been whispering to you in the hours when the world is silent and your mind has no distractions. And even if you didn't hear words, your spirit heard something. That restlessness you feel, that's not anxiety, that's anticipation. Your soul knows something is coming. Here's what I need you to understand. The 1% are not the people who avoided pain. The 1% are the people who survived it and didn't grow bitter. You've been through betrayals that should have turned you cold. You've been through losses that should have made you quit. You've been through seasons of silence that should have convinced you God forgot your name, but you're still here. And the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still believing, still watching this video, means you passed the test most people fail. You didn't let the heaviness kill your hope. You didn't let the sadness steal your faith. You didn't let the loneliness convince you that you were abandoned. Your symptoms are not proof that you're breaking down. They're proof that God trusted you with a burden most people couldn't carry. And now, after years of feeling like you've been going backwards, heaven is about to reveal why every delay was actually divine timing. So if you've been waking up at strange hours, feeling unexplainable heaviness, or sensing that something is shifting, even though nothing looks different, write this in the comments. I've felt this, because you are not alone. And what you're feeling is not the end. It's the anesthesia wearing off. And you're about to wake up to the assignment heaven has been preparing you for all along. Let me tell you something that's going to shake loose years of confusion. You've spent your whole life wondering why you never fit. Why family gatherings felt like foreign territory. Why small talk drained you. Why you could sit in a room full of people and still feel like you were watching from behind glass. They called you too sensitive, too serious, too spiritual, too much. And you believed them. You thought something was wrong with you. But listen closely, chosen one. That wasn't a flaw. That was heaven's fingerprint. Turn with me to Genesis 1:26. God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, not in the image of this world, not shaped by culture, trends, or the opinions of people who never understood you. In his image, That means there's a part of you that was never meant to blend in here. You were designed with eternity woven into your bones. And this world was never your home. John 17:16 says it plainly. They are not of this world, just as I am not of this world. Jesus spoke those words over his disciples, and tonight I'm speaking them over you. You are not of this world. You never were. That's why nothing here ever satisfied you. That's why success felt hollow, why applause felt empty, why, even after you raised your kids, paid off your house, did everything right, something still whispered, "There's more." Because there is. You've been carrying a currency that doesn't work in most stores. You've been speaking a language most people don't recognize. And for years, you thought that made you less than. But it doesn't. It makes you marked. Think about an eagle raised in a chicken yard. It scratches the dirt with the others. It eats the same feed. But every morning, it stares at the sky. Something inside it remembers. It knows it wasn't made for the ground. That's you. You weren't rejected because you were worthless. You were rejected because darkness could see the mark on you before you even saw it yourself. Let me take you deeper. Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Read that again. Before your mother's first contraction, before your first breath, before your first mistake, God already knew you, already marked you, already set you apart. That word set apart in Hebrew is kadash. It means consecrated, holy, separated for a purpose. You were separated before you were born. That's why you always felt separate. And here's where it gets heavy. The people who left you, the ones who betrayed you, misunderstood you, walked away without explanation, they weren't rejecting you. They were rejecting what they couldn't control in you. Because you carry something they can't touch, a light they can't dim, a grace they can't manipulate. And when people can't control you, they leave you. But God never did. He's been with you in every silent night, every tear-soaked pillow, every moment you sat at your kitchen table at 3 a.m., wondering if anyone saw you. He saw you. He's always seen you. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are different by design. Think about it. You've survived things that should have destroyed you, losses that should have buried you, betrayals that should have turned you cold. But you're still here, still soft, still believing. That's not luck. That's not stubbornness. That's the DNA of another kingdom running through your veins. You were built to endure what earthly people cannot survive. You were wired to see what blind eyes miss. You were designed to hear what deaf ears ignore. And now, at this age, when the world says you're supposed to be winding down, fading out, settling in heaven, is saying the opposite. Heaven is saying, now you're ready. Because everything you went through wasn't wasted. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every loss taught you detachment. Every silent season taught you how to hear God without needing a crowd to confirm it. You've been in training, and the training is almost over. But here's the part most people miss, the part you need to understand before we go any further. If you've ever wondered why people left you, why they betrayed you, why they never really saw you, don't miss what's coming next. It's going to hurt a little, and then it's going to heal you completely. Because what I'm about to show you will explain every closed door, every rejection, every time you were overlooked or abandoned. And when you see it, you'll stop asking, why me? And start saying, thank God. But before we go there, I need you to do something. I need you to agree with heaven right now. If this is reading your story, if you feel the weight of these words settling into your chest, type in the comments, I'm marked, not broken. Let your own fingers prophesy over you. Let your own voice rise up and agree with what God has always said about you. Because you are not a mistake, You are not an accident. You are not forgotten. You are the 1%. And heaven has been waiting for this exact moment to tell you why. Now let's talk about what happens when the marked ones finally wake up. You know what nobody talks about? The cost of being faithful when nobody's watching. Let me paint you a picture. You worked 2 jobs while your neighbors went on vacation. You stayed home on Saturday nights taking care of your sick mother while your friends went dancing. You paid bills, you raised kids, you buried people you loved. You forgave people who never apologized. You showed up. You stayed. You endured. And while you were doing all that, life moved on without you. Your co-workers got promotions. Your friends bought bigger houses. Your relatives traveled the world and posted pictures. And you? You sat in the same kitchen, at the same table, wondering if God was even paying attention. Here's the part that hurts the most. You didn't complain. You kept your head down. You told yourself it would get better. You believed that one day your faithfulness would matter. But year after year, nothing changed. The phone stopped ringing. The invitations stopped coming. And slowly, quietly, you started to believe a lie. Maybe I'm not chosen. Maybe I missed my turn. Let me tell you something right now. That lie came straight from hell. You weren't forgotten. You were hidden. There's a difference. And if you don't understand that difference tonight, you'll miss what God is about to do with every single year you thought was wasted. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, not as punishment, as preparation. He thought he was a shepherd. God knew he was training a deliverer. Joseph sat in an Egyptian prison for crimes he didn't commit. Nobody came to visit. Nobody spoke his name. He could have rotted there. But God was writing a story where the man in chains would one day hold the keys to a nation's survival. David hid in caves, running from a king who wanted him dead. He was anointed, but not crowned, chosen, but not seen. He wrote psalms in the dark, while others sat in palaces. And those cave years, they became the foundation of a kingdom. Anna the prophetess was 84 years old, widowed for most of her life. She spent decades in the temple, fasting, praying, waiting. The world forgot her name. But on the day Jesus was brought to the temple, she was the one who recognized him. Not the priests, not the scholars. The old widow nobody noticed. You see where I'm going with this? Your hidden years weren't wasted. They were sovereign. Every night you cried yourself to sleep, God was taking notes. Every time you whispered, "I can't do this anymore," and then got up the next morning anyway, heaven recorded it. Every time you forgave when bitterness would have been easier, you were being shaped into something the world isn't ready to see yet. You thought you were on the bench. You weren't. You were in God's training camp. And here's what they don't tell you. The ones God hides are the ones He's protecting. Because if the enemy had seen you clearly during those years, he would have destroyed you before you ever reached this moment. Your isolation wasn't rejection, it was a shield. Your silence wasn't abandonment, it was cover. God hid you from attacks you never even saw coming. Think about it. A seed spends months underground, buried, dark, no sunlight, no applause, just dirt and pressure. And the whole time, the world above sees nothing. They walk over that ground and never know something's growing beneath their feet. But the seed isn't dead. It's developing roots strong enough to hold up a tree that will feed generations. That was you. You've been underground. And every year you spent in that dark soil, your roots went deeper. Deeper than the people who got everything early. Deeper than the ones who had it easy. Your roots hit bedrock. And now it's time to break through the surface. But here's the part that's going to shake you. The reason your body has felt so heavy lately, the reason your sleep has been disrupted, the reason you've been pulling away from people without knowing why, it's not age. It's not depression. It's not even loneliness. It's the pressure of something trying to break through. Your spirit knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. You're not shutting down, you're about to break open, and your body is responding to a shift in the atmosphere that your natural eyes can't see. Heaven is moving things into position. And the earthquake you've been feeling inside? That's not destruction, that's construction. Every tear you cried alone in that bedroom was bottled. Psalm 56:8 says God keeps track of your sorrows. He collects your tears in a bottle. Not one night of crying into your pillow was wasted ink in God's story. Not one moment of faithfulness in the dark went unnoticed. And now, after decades of being hidden, God is about to do something with all those years. He's about to turn your test into a testimony so loud that people you've never met will draw strength from your story. But you have to stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you next is going to explain why this moment, this exact moment, is not random, why the enemy fought so hard to keep you silent, and why your breakthrough isn't just for you. If you've spent years feeling unseen, just write 3 words: God saw me. Not for me, for you, so your spirit hears it from your own hands. Now, let me show you what happens next. Chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to make your entire last season make sense. What you've been calling exhaustion, that wasn't burnout. What you've been calling isolation, that wasn't abandonment. What you've been calling stillness, that wasn't death. It was anesthesia. God put you under. Now listen carefully, this is not medical advice. If you're dealing with physical symptoms, you see your doctor. But spiritually, something else has been happening. Something most people will never understand because they weren't chosen for the operating table. You felt it, didn't you? That strange shift about a year ago, maybe 2. You stopped wanting to fight. You stopped chasing people who used to matter. You stopped forcing conversations that used to excite you. Phone calls you used to return, you let them go to voicemail. Events you used to attend, you didn't even feel guilty for missing them. And late at night, when you sat in that chair by the window, you wondered, what's wrong with me? Why don't I care anymore? Here's the truth they won't tell you in church. Nothing was wrong with you. God was sedating you on purpose. Because the great physician doesn't operate on patients who are still thrashing around. Think about it. When a surgeon needs to do deep work, work that goes into the chest cavity, work that touches the heart, what does he do first? He puts you to sleep. Not to harm you, to heal you. Because if you were awake and moving, he couldn't get to what's killing you. That's what God has been doing. He looked at your life and said, I need to get in there. I need to fix what 30 years of betrayal did to their heart. I need to repair what abandonment broke in their nervous system. I need to extract the trauma they've been carrying since 1987. But I can't do it while they're still running, still performing, still pretending they're fine. So he pressed pause. He pulled you out of environments that were keeping you sick. He removed people who were draining your life force. He shut down routines that were distracting you from healing. And then, gently, carefully, he laid you down on the operating table and said, now I can finally fix what they broke. The surgeon doesn't let the crowd into the operating room, chosen one. That's why certain people suddenly disappeared from your life. That's why invitations stopped coming. That's why your phone got quieter. It wasn't rejection, it was protection. God was saying, I need them alone. I need them still, because what I'm about to do requires precision, and I won't let anyone interfere. You know what happens during surgery? The lights go out for you. Your body goes completely still. To the outside world, you look lifeless. People walking past the operating room might even think you're gone, but inside that room, the greatest work of your life is happening. Your heart is being repaired. Your wounds are being closed. The infections they said were permanent, being cleaned out. The damage they said was irreversible, being reconstructed. This is why you've felt so heavy. This is why your body has been so tired. This is why sleep hasn't been restful, because even while you were lying still, God was working. Even while you thought nothing was happening, everything was being rebuilt. Think of a phone updating overnight. Screen goes black, looks dead, but the system? Upgrading, processing, rewiring, and when it comes back on, it's faster, sharper, more powerful than before. That's you right now. Or think of winter trees in Central Park. Bare branches, no leaves. Tourists walk by and think they're dead. But underground, the roots are working, deeper than anyone can see, preparing for a spring bloom that will shock everyone who wrote them off. Chosen one, what felt like your collapse was actually God, laying you down gently and saying, "I've got you. Stop fighting me. Let me do what only I can do." And here's the part that's going to wreck you. He didn't sedate you randomly. He sedated you at the exact right time. Because if he had done this 10 years ago, you wouldn't have trusted him enough to stay still. And if he waited 5 more years, it would have been too late. The damage would have gone too deep. But now, right now, at this age, in this season, with this much life behind you and this much still ahead, this is the divine moment, the Kairos, the appointed hour when heaven steps in and says, "Surgery begins now." You've been asking God why he's been silent, but surgeons don't talk during the procedure. They focus, they cut, they repair, they save. And when you wake up from this, and you will wake up, you will not wake up to the same life. You will not return to the same relationships. You will not go back to the same version of yourself. You're going to wake up healed, whole, and so spiritually sharp that people won't recognize you. They'll ask what happened, and you won't even know how to explain it. Because how do you describe surgery you slept through? But here's what I need you to do right now. If you're willing to let God finish what he started in you, if you're ready to stop fighting the stillness and trust the process, I need you to write in the comments, "Do what you need to do." That's your permission slip for heaven. That's your agreement that you won't get up from the table early, that you'll stay under until the work is complete, because the surgery is almost done. And what comes next? That's where it gets dangerous. In the next section, I'm going to tell you why this had to happen now, at this exact age, and why the enemy is terrified of what you're about to become when you wake up. Don't go anywhere. The people who leave now will miss the most important part. Let me tell you something they don't preach in most churches anymore. Something that'll shake the dust off your thinking and wake up the part of you that's been sitting in the back pew of your own life, convinced the best seats are already taken. You've been measuring your life by the wrong clock. There are 2 clocks ticking over your head right now. The first one, that's Chronos. That's the calendar on your kitchen wall. That's the birthday candles adding up every year. That's the retirement party they threw for you 10 years ago. That's the clock that says you're 68, 74, 81 years old. That's the clock that whispers in your ear at 3 a.m. You're too late. You missed it. But there's another clock, a clock you can't see with your eyes, but you can feel it in your chest when God moves. The Greeks called it Kairos. Heaven calls it the appointed time. And that clock, it doesn't care how many birthdays you've had. It cares about one thing, alignment. Kairos is the exact moment when everything heaven has been arranging behind the scenes clicks into place. It's the window, the opening, the divine setup. And chosen one, hear me clearly, that window just opened over your life. You thought you were too old. God says you're right on schedule. Let me prove it to you. Let's go back. Moses, 80 years old, spent 40 years in the wilderness thinking his life was over, thought he'd blown his chance, thought God had moved on. Then one day, a bush caught fire and didn't burn up. God said, "Now, this is your Kairos moment." And at 80 years old, Moses walked back into Egypt and brought a nation out of slavery. 80 years old, Caleb. 85. While everyone else his age was settling into their tents, complaining about their joints and their memories, Caleb stood up and said, "Give me that mountain. I'm as strong today as I was 45 years ago." And God gave him the mountain. At 85, Sarah, 90 years old, barren her whole life, laughed when God said she'd have a baby because the idea seemed ridiculous. But God doesn't operate on biological clocks. He operates on Kairos. And Sarah held Isaac in her arms at 90. You hearing this? Your wrinkles are not disqualifications. They are Jan's scars from battles you survived. Your grey hair is not a sign you're finished. It's a crown that says you're still standing. Your age is not a problem to God. It's a credential. But here's what the enemy has been doing. He's been whispering Chronos, lies into your spirit. You're too old to start over. You're too tired to be useful. You're too late to matter. And every time you believed that lie, you handed him another piece of your future. Stop it, right now. Stop calling yourself too late when heaven is saying you're exactly on time. Picture this. You're standing on a subway platform in New York at 11:58 p.m. The last train was supposed to come at 11:45. You thought you missed it. You're about to walk up the stairs, go home, call it a night. But then you hear it. The rumble, the screech of the rails, and that train pulls into the station at exactly midnight. Not early, not late, right on time. That's where you are right now. You thought the train left without you, but heaven just pulled into your station. And the doors are open. Or think about Broadway. The curtain doesn't go up until the lead actor walks on stage. The audience can be seated. The orchestra can be ready. But nothing starts until that actor steps into the light. Chosen one, you are that actor. Heaven has been waiting for you to realize it's your cue. The stage is set. The lights are on. And your entrance is now. God has been preparing something in the background of your life for decades. Every loss you survived, every betrayal you endured, every closed door, every silent season. It wasn't wasted. It was preparation. And now, in this Kairos moment, everything you went through is about to make sense. Heaven is not late to your address. Heaven is on Kairos time, not retirement time. When heaven says now, something shifts in the invisible courtroom over your life. Verdicts get overturned, delays get cancelled, doors that were sealed start to crack open, and the atmosphere around you begins to rearrange itself according to divine order, not human timing. You want to know what happens next? You want to know what that shift looks like in the natural? Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is going to explain why certain people have been disappearing from your life, why your routine has been disrupted, why you've been feeling this pull you can't explain. But before we go there, I need to know you're hearing this. I need to know you're not just watching, you're receiving. If you refuse to call yourself too late ever again, if you're ready to step into your Kairos moment, type in the comments right now, "I'm right on time." Let heaven see that. Let the enemy see it too. Because when you declare alignment with God's timing, you just gave heaven legal permission to move on your behalf. Now let me show you what that movement looks like. Chosen one, I need you to stop what you're doing right now. Close your eyes for just a moment, because what I'm about to show you is happening in a realm you cannot see with your natural eyes, but it is more real than the chair you're sitting in. Right now, at this very second, there is a courtroom in the heavens, and you are the subject of the case being argued. Listen to me carefully. This is not symbolic. This is not a metaphor. Revelation 12:10 calls Satan the accuser of our brethren, who accused them before our God day and night. That means every single day there is a prosecuting attorney in the unseen realm, standing before the throne of God, pointing his bony finger at you, listing every reason why you should be disqualified. And here's what he's been saying about you for years. Too late. Look at their age. Look at how much time they wasted. They had their chance, and they blew it. Too broken. Look at their body. Look at their health. Look at the medication bottles on their counter. They're falling apart. Wrong choices. Look at their past. The divorce, the estrangement from their kids, the business that failed, the friendships that ended. They don't deserve a second chance. Failure as a parent. Their children don't call. Their grandchildren barely know them. They raised a generation that walked away. And the accuser keeps talking. He pulls out file after file. Every mistake you made in 1987, every harsh word you said in 2003, every Sunday you skipped, every promise you broke, every time you chose fear over faith. And he slams those files on the desk and says, "Your Honor, the evidence is clear. This one is finished. Case closed." Can you feel that weight right now? That's what you've been carrying. The verdict you believed was already decided. Guilty, done, too late, washed up. But here's what the enemy didn't count on. There's someone else in that courtroom, and he's been silent up until now, not because he has nothing to say, but because he was waiting for the exact right moment to speak. The one with scars in his hands stands up, nail prints still visible, and he doesn't shout, he doesn't argue. He simply lifts his hands and says two words: paid, in, full. 1 John 2:1 says, "If anyone sins, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous." That word advocate, it means defense attorney. It means the one who speaks on your behalf when you can't speak for yourself. And Jesus looks at every accusation, the age, the mistakes, the failures, the lost years, and he says, "I already covered that. My blood is still speaking, and my blood says they are mine." The accuser tries to interrupt, "But look at what they paid." But they haven't even in full. And then, chosen one, I want you to hear this sound in your spirit right now. A holy gavel slams down on the bench of heaven. One strike, final, absolute. Case dismissed. Every accusation overruled. Every charge dropped. Every file shredded. Every chain broken. Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn." Do you hear that? Every tongue. That includes the tongue of the accuser himself. His voice has been silenced over your life. The verdict is not too late. The verdict is not too broken. The verdict is not disqualified. The verdict over your life tonight is this: still chosen, still necessary, still appointed. And here's what just shifted in the realm of the Spirit. The moment that gavel came down, old legal rights the enemy had over your life were revoked. Doors that were locked by guilt just swung open. Timelines that were delayed by shame just accelerated. Blessings that were held back by accusation just got released. You are no longer walking under condemnation. Romans 8:1 says, "There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus." Not yesterday, not last year, right now, no condemnation. But here's where this gets personal. A verdict means nothing if you don't walk like someone who's been cleared. You can be declared innocent and still live like a prisoner. You can be set free and still shuffle around with invisible chains on your ankles. So let me ask you this. Are you going to keep living like the case is still open? Are you going to keep replaying the accusations in your mind at 3 a.m.? Are you going to keep disqualifying yourself when heaven just qualified you? Because the enemy is terrified right now. He knows the verdict shifted. He knows his legal ground just collapsed. And his only weapon left is to convince you that nothing changed. But something did change. The gavel fell. The blood still speaks. And you, chosen one, are officially released into your next chapter. If you receive that verdict tonight, if something in your spirit just broke free, then you need to do something right now. You need to make a declaration, not just in your heart. Out loud, in the comments, because faith without action is dead, and this is your act of agreement with heaven. Type these words: case dismissed. I am still chosen. That's not just a comment. That's you signing the legal documents in the spirit realm. That's you walking out of that courtroom as a free man, a free woman. But here's the question that's going to take us into the next part of this message. Now that you've been cleared, now that the accusations have been silenced, now that the verdict has been overturned, how do you walk like someone who's been released and not like someone who's still condemned? Because that's what we're about to uncover next. Now listen closely, chosen one. Everything I've told you up to this point was preparation, but preparation without action is just another form of delay. And you've delayed long enough. You've been sitting in that living room chair for months, maybe years, watching the same shows, eating the same meals, talking to the same 3 people, and somewhere deep inside, you've been wondering if this is all there is left. If the rest of your days are just about managing pain, paying bills, and waiting. But here's what heaven just declared over you. You are not in your ending years. You are in your assignment years. The courtroom scene is over. The verdict has been read. Heaven ruled in your favor. Now it's time to walk out of that room and into the sunlight. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, even if your knees hurt, even if your energy is low, even if you feel like you've got nothing left to give. This is your 7-day activation. 7 simple steps that will shift your atmosphere, realign your spirit, and prove to heaven that you're ready to move. Day 1. Speak it. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you even get out of bed, I want you to say this out loud. I am not late. I am chosen and on time. Say it again before you go to sleep. Your voice has power. Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." You've been speaking death over yourself for too long. I'm too old. I'm too tired. I missed my chance. No more. Your words are rewriting your reality starting tomorrow. Day 2. Release. 1. Regret. There's something you've been carrying for years. Maybe it's guilt over a decision you made. Maybe it's shame about someone you hurt. Maybe it's regret over a path you didn't take. Take a piece of paper. Write it down. Don't overthink it. Just write the first thing that comes to your heart. Then pray over it. Tell God you're releasing it. And then tear that paper into pieces. Psalm 103:12 says, "As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us." If God already removed it, why are you still holding it? Day 3. Clean one corner. I'm not asking you to reorganize your whole house. Just one corner, one shelf, one drawer, one small space that you're going to clear out and dedicate as your new chapter space. This is symbolic. When you clean that space, you're telling heaven, I'm making room for what's coming. You're creating physical space for spiritual movement. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be intentional. Day 4. Call or bless one person. Here's where your mantle activates. You think you don't have anything left to give? You're wrong. You have decades of survival, wisdom, and lived faith inside you. And there's someone younger who desperately needs to hear it. Call someone. Text someone. Write a note. Tell them one thing you learned the hard way. Encourage them. Bless them. Hebrews 13:16 says, "Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God." When you pour out what you think is your last bit of strength, God refills you. That's how the anointing works. It multiplies when you give it away. Day 5. 15 minutes of stillness. No TV, no radio, no phone, just you, sitting in a chair, breathing, and inviting God to speak. This is the hardest one for most people because we've trained ourselves to fill every quiet moment with noise. But 1 Kings 19:12 says God is in the still small voice, not the earthquake, not the fire, the whisper. Sit still for 15 minutes. If your mind wanders, that's okay. Just bring it back. Ask God one question. What do you want me to know right now? And then listen. Don't force it, just be present. Day 6. Write your testimony. 1 page, that's all. Write down how you're still here after everything. After the cancer, after the divorce, after burying your spouse, after the financial collapse, after the betrayal, after the depression. After all of it, you're still breathing. That's not luck, that's testimony. Revelation 12:11 says, "They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." Your story has power. Write it down. It's not for you. It's for someone who's about to quit. Day 7. Dedicate your remaining years. This is the most important day. Sit in that quiet corner you cleaned on day 3 and pray this simple prayer. God, whatever's left of my life, whether it's 5 years or 20, I give it back to you. Use me, move me, send me, I'm ready. Romans 12:1 says, "Present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship." You're not asking for more time. You're offering the time you have left. And when you do that, chosen one, something breaks open in the heavenlies, because most people spend their last years holding on. But you're letting go. And that surrender is what heaven has been waiting for. Now here's the truth you need to hear. You don't have to do all 7 perfectly. You just have to start. 1 step, 1 day, 1 choice. That's all heaven needs to see. If you're willing to try at least one of these 7 steps this week, type in the comments, "I'm taking a step." That small step is big in the spirit. It's your act of faith. It's your agreement with heaven's timing. Because here's what's about to happen. As you activate these steps, you're going to feel something shift. Not overnight, not dramatically, but quietly. Like a door you didn't know was locked, finally creaking open. And in a moment, I'm going to pray over you like you were sitting right in front of me, in that living room, in that chair by the window. Don't click away now. This prayer is going to seal what heaven just activated in you. Chosen one, we've reached the sacred part of this message. What you're about to hear is not just words. This is a decree. This is heaven speaking directly over your life, your body, your mind, and every person connected to your bloodline. I want you to do something right now. If you're sitting down, place one hand over your chest. If you're lying in bed, place it over your heart. Because what I'm about to pray isn't theory, it's activation. And the moment you agree with this prayer, something in the unseen realm shifts. Let me be clear about something most preachers won't tell you. Your body has been under spiritual attack, not because you're weak, because you're dangerous. The enemy knows that if you rise one more time, if you believe one more time, if you stand one more time, everything changes. Not just for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for bloodlines that haven't even been born yet. That's why your body feels the way it does. That pain in your lower back that won't go away, that heaviness in your chest at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep, those pills on your nightstand that keep multiplying, the trembling in your hands, the fog in your mind when you walk into a room and forget why you came. You thought it was just age. But it's not just age, it's warfare. The Bible says in Ephesians 6:12, "We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." Your body is a battlefield, and tonight we're taking it back. So right now, I'm going to pray over you. Not a soft prayer, not a polite prayer, a war prayer, a bloodline prayer, a decree that hell has to honor because it comes from the throne room of God. Heavenly Father, I come before you right now in the name of Jesus Christ, the name above every name. I stand in the gap for this chosen one who is listening. Lord, you see them. You see the medication bottles. You see the sleepless nights. You see the pain they don't talk about anymore because they're tired of complaining. You see the weariness in their bones. You see the fog in their mind. And tonight, Father, we break every assignment of fatigue, every spirit of heaviness, every generational curse of sickness that has tracked this bloodline for decades. I speak directly to this body right now. Bones, I command you to strengthen. Joints, I command you to loosen. Blood pressure, I command you to stabilize. Mind, I command you to clear. Spirit of confusion, you have no authority here. Spirit of forgetfulness, you are a liar and you must leave. In Jesus' name, I declare supernatural clarity over this mind. What was cloudy will become sharp. What was slow will become quick. What was anxious will become peaceful. Father, I pray over their heart. Not the physical heart, but the heart that has been broken too many times. The heart that trusted people who walked away. The heart that loved children who don't call anymore. The heart that buried a spouse and wonders if joy will ever return. Lord, you said in Psalm 147:3, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. So tonight, I ask you to bind what has been bleeding for years. Stitch it back together with your love. Pour oil on wounds that religion couldn't heal. Let this one feel warmth again. Let them feel safe again. Let them know they are not alone in that quiet house. And now, Father, I pray over their bloodline. I see it like a family tree stretching back generations and forward into eternity. And tonight, I declare a washing. Every curse spoken over their ancestors, I break it. Every pattern of poverty, I shatter it. Every cycle of addiction, I destroy it. Every spirit of rebellion in their children, I bind it. Every prodigal son, every wandering daughter, every grandchild who has walked away from you, I speak return. I speak conviction. I speak divine encounters that will bring them to their knees. Lord, let this one know that their prayers were not wasted. Those prayers they whispered at 2 a.m. over a child they couldn't reach, you heard every word. Those tears they cried alone in the bathroom so no one would see, you collected every drop. And tonight, you are releasing the answers. Not tomorrow, not next year. The shift has already begun. I decree over this chosen one, you are not too late. You are exactly on time. The rest of your life will not be a slow fade into irrelevance. It will be a strategic assignment. God has been preparing you in the wilderness, in the silence, in the pain, and what's coming next will require every ounce of strength He's been building in you. Father, let this one feel your presence right now, not as a concept, not as a memory from church 40 years ago, but right now, in this room, as they listen to these words. Let them feel a hand on their shoulder. Let them feel warmth in their chest. Let them know this moment was circled on your calendar before the foundation of the world. In Jesus' mighty name, I seal this prayer. I seal this decree. I seal this chosen one under the blood of the Lamb. And I declare, what hell tried to kill, heaven is resurrecting. If you felt even a small shift, peace, tears, warmth, a sudden clarity, type in the comments, I felt it. That testimony isn't for me. It's for the next chosen one, scrolling through these comments at 2 a.m., wondering if God still moves. Your 3 words might be the sign they've been praying for. Now, stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal next will explain why you felt that, and why the next 30 days of your life are going to look completely different than the last 30 years. Let me tell you something that's going to shake you awake right now. You didn't survive this long by accident. You didn't make it through divorces, funerals, surgeries, financial collapses, and sleepless nights just so you could sit in a recliner and fade into the background. That's what the world wants you to believe. That's the lie the enemy whispers when you look in the mirror and see gray hair and tired eyes. But heaven sees something else entirely. Heaven sees a warrior who refused to quit. Heaven sees a lighthouse that stood through hurricanes and never stopped shining. And tonight, God is calling you back into the field. Listen closely. Only 1% of people will hear this message at the exact moment they need it. That's not just a statistic. That's a spiritual assignment. If you're hearing this right now, you're not just a listener, you're a carrier. You are the vessel God chose to pass this fire to the next generation. You think you're too old? Moses was 80 when God gave him his greatest assignment. You think you're too tired? Caleb was 85 and still said, "Give me this mountain." You think you've lost too much? Job lost everything, and God gave him double in his latter years. The Bible doesn't say your latter days will be smaller. It says in Job 42:12, "The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part." Read that again. More than the former part. You are standing in your latter days right now, and God didn't keep you breathing just to be comfortable. He kept you here because you are the bridge generation, between the old covenant and the new move, between pain and healing, between a family that's falling apart and a bloodline that gets redeemed. You are not decoration in God's house. You are foundation. Your grandchildren are watching you. Not your words, your life. They're watching to see if faith works when it gets hard. They're watching to see if God is real when the money runs out, when the doctor gives bad news, when the friend doesn't call back. You are a living sermon they will never forget. Hebrews 12:1 says, "We are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses." That means the saints who went before you are watching. Your mother who prayed over you, your father who worked 3 jobs, the pastor who laid hands on you decades ago. They're leaning over heaven's balcony right now, shouting, "Don't stop now. You're almost there." And here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. You are more dangerous now than you were at 30, because now you've seen God's faithfulness with your own eyes. Now you've got scars that prove He doesn't abandon His people. Now you've got a testimony that can't be argued with. That's why the isolation hit you so hard. That's why people pulled away. That's why your phone stopped ringing. The enemy wanted to convince you that you don't matter anymore. But God was actually clearing the room so you could hear Him without interference. This is your repositioning. This is your recalibration. This is God stripping away everything that would distract you from your final assignment. You are not the leftover generation. You are the front line of what God is doing right now. So let me tell you what happens next. If this word confirmed something deep in your spirit, I need you to do something. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. And I'm not asking for numbers. I'm asking you to push this message out into the algorithm so the other 1% who need it can find it. Because somewhere right now, there's a 72-year-old man sitting in a studio apartment in Queens who's one click away from giving up. And your act of obedience might be the way God reaches him. Write one sentence in the comments about what part of this message hit you the hardest. Don't overthink it. Just type what's on your heart. That sentence might be the line that keeps someone else alive tomorrow morning. And if you know someone who thinks their life is over, send this to them. Send it to your son who stopped calling. Send it to your daughter who's too busy. Send it to the friend from church who disappeared. Let this be the way you say, "You're not done yet. neither am I. Some of you feel led to support this kind of ministry so more seniors can be reached with this message. You can do that through super thanks or any way God leads you. Never out of pressure, only out of love. Only if your spirit says yes. Because here's the truth. This is not just about you feeling better. This is about a generation rising one more time to declare that God is still God. That faith still works. That the latter days are greater than the former. You are a torch being passed to the next runner. You are a lighthouse that refuses to go dark. You are a veteran putting on the uniform one more time. And heaven is watching you right now with pride. So the question is no longer, am I too old? The question is, will I answer the call?